Good morning. We uncovered a concerning rise in ACL injuries, particularly in those who are under 25, upwards of 74% over the 15 years we looked at. And the greatest rise was in those who are under 14. So we looked at both the injury and then also subsequently undergoing reconstruction in Australia.
Tell people about ACL injuries and why they might happen to people under the age of 18.
So in all age groups, ACL injuries are a non-contact event. So normally the young athlete is playing sport, typically where they have to evade other opponents and step, like AFL, rugby league, rugby union, etc., netball. And the forces on the stepping manoeuvre overload the cruciate ligament and it tears, and the muscular control can't protect the ACL and it ruptures. So effectively these young athletes go from being completely normal to rupturing their ACL in the blink of an eye, coming off the field and having a life-changing event occur to their joint.
And Chris, people have been twisting and turning in games in Australia and all around the world, these type of ball games, for many decades. Why do you think it's been a rise in the last 15 years?
So we haven't looked before 15 years, so we've probably seen a gradual increase, but there's theories around why we're seeing a gradual increase. And it's not only in Australia, it's also internationally. Orthopaedic surgeons, when we go to meetings, now a dominant part of the program about ACL injuries is actually the rising rate of the injuries and also how to prevent them. So one of the reasons that we're seeing it is that theoretically young athletes are bigger, they're taller, they've got higher body mass indexes. In addition, they tend to be less free plays. They're playing more of one sport and they don't have the time or the opportunity when they're younger to be more agile. If you look at players from the 70s and 80s, they're much, on average, smaller and of less muscle bulk, and so hence lower BMI. So they're larger, they're faster, and they're stepping harder, they're playing longer and more intensely, and they're getting less opportunity for free play. And the key to this is that a lot of these injuries are preventable, 50 to 80%, by agility training. During the training season, you can actually prevent ACL ruptures.
How do you make them stronger then? Tell me about how you prevent it and what sort of programs that young athletes can go through.
It's actually not really being stronger. It's actually about being more agile.
Yeah.
And so you teach people how to land and step correctly so they anticipate what's about to happen. And so for 20 years, we have 20 years of data. There are lots of studies showing that the more agile these young people are, the more they do agility training during the training season, you can reduce ACL ruptures by 50 to 80%. And so part of this is calling upon the national Australian government to have a national sports injury prevention program so we can train the trainers, we can explain to young athletes and their parents that these injuries are preventable and that we should be all aware that you can actually have these agility training programs and prevent rupturing your ACL in the first place. And you don't get the sequelae of time off school and work, needing an operation, and then being restricted in what you can and can't do, and then, of course, later knee osteoarthritis when you're older.
What about the free play stuff, just going back to that? So are you saying, kids climbing trees or doing multiple sports, that would be something that, we could encourage more?
Certainly more free play is important, but in fact the agility training programs do take the place of that.
Yeah.
So the key probably is to really emphasise that you can prevent these. And just on a grassroots level, most of these coaches and trainers, they're parents. And they probably just they're not aware that you can prevent a lot of these injuries through agility training. So the take-home message for people out there listening, their children playing or the young athletes themselves, is that you should speak to your coach and trainer about agility training for whatever particular code you play. And that the realisation that most of these are actually preventable. You don't have to have an injury. You can play safely and not hurt yourself.
Chris, thanks very much for that this morning. Lots of people taking notes. We really appreciate it. And well done on your research.
Thank you very much.